Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode, The Bright Side, in our positivity series on the Giggle Storybox. I'm Clinton, and today we're diving into a topic that has the power to heal relationships, lift heavy burdens, and bring peace to our lives. Yes, that's right, I'm here to talk about forgiveness. Now, I know forgiveness isn't always easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things we're called to do as human beings. But it's also one of the most transformative. Forgiveness is about much more than saying, I'm sorry or I forgive you. It's about letting go of anger, resentment, and hurt so we can make room for compassion, peace, and growth. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And he was right. Forgiveness takes strength, courage, and an open heart. But the rewards, well, they're worth every ounce of the effort. So, in this episode, we're going to explore the transformative power of forgiveness. We'll talk about what it really means, how it can change our lives, and why it's a gift not just for others, but for ourselves. Let's start with the big question. Why does forgiveness matter? At its core, forgiveness is about liberation. When we hold on to anger or resentment, we're essentially chaining ourselves to the very pain we want to escape. Think about that for a moment. We carry the weight of someone else's actions, replaying the hurt over and over again in our minds. There's a powerful quote from Nelson Mandela that perfectly sums this up. He said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." When we refuse to forgive, we're the ones who suffer most, not the person who hurt us. Take a moment to reflect. Is there something you're holding on to right now that's weighing you down? Maybe it's an old betrayal or a recent argument. Imagine what it would feel like to let that go. That's the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't just about setting someone else free. It's about freeing ourselves. Research has shown that forgiveness has profound benefits for our mental and physical health. Dr. Fred Luskin, a leading expert on forgiveness, found that people who practice forgiveness experience lower stress, improved heart health, and greater overall happiness. It's like a detox for the soul. Think of it this way. Forgiveness is an act of self-care. It's not about excusing someone's behavior or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about choosing to prioritize your peace over your pain. One of my favorite quotes about forgiveness comes from the American author Marianne Williamson. She said, "Forgiveness is not always easy. At times, it feels more painful than the wound we suffered to forgive the one that inflicted. And yet, there is no peace without forgiveness." Let's bring this concept to life and look at some powerful examples of forgiveness. Well, we can't talk about forgiveness without mentioning Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison for opposing apartheid in South Africa, Mandela emerged not with bitterness, but with the vision of reconciliation. Mandela famously said, "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." He went on to lead South Africa as its first black president, emphasizing unity and forgiveness instead of revenge. His story is a testament to the transformative power of forgiveness, not just for individuals, but for entire nations. Another incredible story comes from Immaculée Ilibagiza, a survivor of the Rwandan genocide. During the atrocities, she hid in a tiny bathroom with 7 other women for 91 days while her family was brutally murdered. When the genocide ended, Immaculée chose to forgive the people who had taken everything from her. She later wrote, "Forgiveness is all I have to offer. By forgiving, I free my soul and make peace with God." Her story has inspired countless people around the world to let go of hatred and embrace forgiveness as a path to healing. Let's look at a more recent example. In 2006, a gunman entered an Amish schoolhouse in Pennsylvania and took the lives of 5 young girls before taking his own. The Amish community's response shocked the world. They forgave the gunman. They even reached out to his family, offering comfort and support. One Amish man said, "Forgiveness is a journey. You need help from others and you need God. But it starts with the decision to forgive." The act of forgiveness didn't erase the pain, but it prevented the cycle of hatred from continuing. Now, let's shift gears and talk about a different kind of forgiveness: self-forgiveness. If we're honest, the hardest person to forgive is often ourselves. We hold on to guilt, shame, and regret like they're badges of honor, punishing ourselves for past mistakes. But here's the thing: holding on to guilt doesn't make us better, it makes us stuck. Lewis B. Smedes once said, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you." That applies to forgiving others, but it also applies to forgiving ourselves. Think about someone like Oprah Winfrey. She's openly spoken about her struggles with self-forgiveness, especially in her younger years. But she's also shown us how freeing it can be to let go of the past and embrace the present. She once said, "Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could have been any different." Forgiving yourself doesn't mean excusing your mistakes. It means learning from them, growing, and moving forward. At its heart, forgiveness is an act of compassion. When we choose to forgive, we are choosing to see the humanity in others, even those who have hurt us. This doesn't mean ignoring the harm that's been done. It means recognizing that people are complex and their actions often come from a place of pain or fear. As the Dalai Lama said, compassion and tolerance are not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Compassionate forgiveness doesn't just transform the person doing the forgiving, it can also transform the one being forgiven. Think about the restorative justice programs in place, like South Africa or New Zealand, where offenders and victims come together to share their stories and seek understanding. These programs are built on the idea that forgiveness can lead to healing for everyone involved. So how do we practice forgiveness in our daily lives? Well, here's a few steps. First, acknowledge the pain. Forgiveness begins with honesty. Acknowledge what hurt you and allow yourself to feel those emotions. Suppressing pain only makes it harder to let go. Second, shift your perspective. Try to see the situation from the other person's point of view. This doesn't mean excusing their actions, but it might help you understand their motivations. Third, release the need for revenge. As tempting as it is to hold a grudge or seek revenge, it only prolongs your pain. Let go of the idea that forgiveness is for them. It is for you. Practice empathy is the fourth. Remember that we all make mistakes. Extending the same grace you'd want for yourself can make forgiveness easier. And last, commit to the process. Forgiveness isn't a one-time event, it's a journey. Be patient with yourself and take it one step at a time. Finally, let's talk about how forgiveness fits into the bigger picture. Forgiveness isn't just about personal peace, it's about creating a better world. When we forgive, we break the cycle of pain and hatred, replacing it with understanding and compassion. Martin Luther King Jr. captured this beautifully when he said, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude." Imagine a world where forgiveness was the norm, not the exception. A world where we approached each other with empathy instead of judgment, where we sought healing instead of revenge. I want to leave you with one final thought. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. It's not about forgetting the pain or excusing the harm. It's about choosing peace over bitterness, freedom over resentment, and compassion over anger. As Desmond Tutu once said, Forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning. So, whether you're forgiving someone else, seeking forgiveness, or learning to forgive yourself, remember this. Every act of forgiveness is an act of courage. And in that courage lies the power to transform your life and the world around you. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of The Bright Side. If this message has resonated with you, share it with someone who might need a little encouragement. And as always, keep shining your light and spreading kindness wherever you go. Until next time, take care, stay strong, and remember, forgiveness is the key to freedom.